All right, guys, we got a triple dose of Bears rumors that I want to dive into here on today's show, which we will do in a second. But quick reminder, we dropped the new green Chicago River St. Patty's Day themed shirts. They're available in green, navy, black, $29.99. Hoodies coming soon. Chatsports.com/Green River. I think this might be the coolest design we've done yet, either this or Iceman. Check it out. Link is in the comments and description. $29.99 Chicago. Chatsports.com/Green River. Okay, let's get to some rumors here. DeAndre Swift, is he going to be back in 2025? I think it's 50-50. I think it really could go either way. Two smoking Jays. People are talking, and DeAndre Swift is talking as well. He did an interview with the Chicago Sun-Times, and he made his intentions clear. He wants to be back. He likes playing in Ben Johnson's offense. He thinks there's more he can do next year. Talked about being able to do even more as a pass-catching back in 2026. This was the bulk of what he had to say. He said, hopefully I did enough for them to want me back because I know I don't want to go anywhere else. I hope it plays itself out that way. I love the city. I love the coaching staff and the men that I work with. That's out of my control, but if I had it my way, I'd be back. I don't want to play nowhere else. And I've been very clear about DeAndre Swift. I thought he had an excellent bounce back year. He was more efficient. He was better with his vision. He was just a steady presence on this offense for the majority of the season. I do agree with him. I actually do think he could give you a little more in the passing game as well, but he still had almost 1,400 all-purpose yards. He was very good. I have no issues if they run back the same running back duo, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monungai, maybe take a flyer on a guy late day 3 in the draft to add into that room, or sign a cheap free agent to round out that room, because I don't think it'll be Roschon Johnson as the third running back. But as we saw throughout the course of the season, Swift and Monungai took the bulk of the carries anyway. It's going to be a 1-2 punch system, and I think it was a very effective year. Now, at the same time, if there is an opportunity to upgrade your RB1 position and keep Monungai as your RB2, I do think the Bears, Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson will at least be opportunistic if the right situation pops up. For example, like Kenneth Walker was reported probably not going to get franchise tag. So if he can't work out a deal with Seattle, would they poke around for someone like that? If a Devon Achane trade became available, would they look into that? Because Swift is a good back, but if there's an upgrade, they would consider it because they could save $7.5 million if they cut or trade him. So it's one of those situations where I think the Bears are like, hey, we like this group. It's solid. It's not, a peak Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery 1-2 punch, but it's good enough. The scheme, the offensive line, Swift is a trustworthy player, and Kyle Monungai is a rookie who should continue to improve moving forward. It's a B-level group on paper, right? But if you could get an upgrade, and if it makes sense to do that from a roster standpoint, I think the Bears would at least entertain those opportunities. Don't think they'll go out of their way to do it, but if the right situation pops up, I think it is on the table. But DeAndre Swift's made it clear he wants to return. What will the Bears do with Swift? If you think they're going to keep him, type K for keep. Think they're going to cut him, type C for cut. Or if you think they're going to trade him, type T for trade. If they do upgrade, it would be nice if they could find a trade, even if it's just like a pick swap. I mean, he did have over 1,300 all-purpose yards. He's still a starting level back that could start somewhere. Maybe Kansas City. Follow Eric Bieniemy. Who knows? All right, more Tyson Bagent trade buzz out there. Again, I'm not creating this. This being reported on by a Cardinals reporter, which we'll get to in a second. Trade to the Cardinals? One smoking J. It's barely true. It could happen, but I do think it is very, very unlikely. But John Gabadaro, who's like the number one Arizona sports local guy, covers the Cardinals and Suns, said that have heard the Cardinals are intrigued by Bears backup quarterback Tyson Bagent. He has 1 year left on his deal, which he corrected in a minute, so would have to trade for him. Grew up in West Virginia, went to Shepherd University, undrafted free agent. This is just informational stuff. 2-year, $10 million extension. Does have incentives as well. He did update his follow-up on that tweet with 2 years left on his extension because the extension kicks in this year. 26 and 27 is the 2-year, $10 million extension, up to $16 million with incentives. Let me go on the record. I would be stunned if the Bears traded Tyson Bagent. I do not want to trade Tyson Bagent, but if you get a surprising offer, like most players, especially guys who aren't like your star-level players, you always have to entertain those type of things. Like, I'll give an example. Now, I think Tyson Bagent is way more valuable to the Bears than a guy like Velus Jones Jr. ever was. But if you remember when watching Hard Knocks, when he had that good training camp in preseason, remember the Bears turned down a trade offer for Velus Jones, and then week 1 he drop kicks the kickoff return, never plays again, and later gets cut. It's one of those things where it's like, don't get too attached to a player. Now, a backup quarterback is much more valuable than a guy like Velus Jones, but I do think it's one of those situations where if you answer the phone, you're Ryan Poles, wait, you're going to offer me a second-round pick for Tyson Bagent? That's something I at least have to consider if I am the Chicago Bears. But again, A, I don't think that's going to happen, and B, I do really think the Bears value Bagent, and so do I. I think he's a high-level backup that doesn't cost a lot of money and is still a young, improving player as well. He's another guy that they're developing. Just because Caleb's their starter doesn't mean that Bagent isn't a player that is continuing to improve. More on this in a second, but first, I do want to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting, so don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Football might be over, but I'm just getting started with PrizePicks as the hoops action is heating up. Just pick more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups regardless of sport, and you are good to go. We're talking season-long baseball projections. We're talking basketball, hockey, soccer. I'm sure we'll have some season-long football projections out there soon enough. Little 2-player hoops action here. I'll take more on Anthony Simon's three-pointers May. It's a goblin play, so it lowers the payout, but it's easier to hit. And give me the less on old man Horford, points, rebounds, assists. He's really slowed down this year. $20 to win 38 on this 2-player lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, you look at Tyson Bagent's contract. So his cap hits with the Bears the next 2 years. Very affordable, right? $4.75 million each of the next 2 years, and then he's set for free agency in 2028. Said at the time, said it the other day. I'll say it now. When the Bears extended him, very, very smart, forward-thinking move by Chicago, because worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out with Caleb Williams, you at least have another guy you under contract that is young and ascending that you could try. Now, clearly, Caleb showed enough. Like, Caleb's the guy. We all know that. Well, I say we all. there's a few of you guys, but that's your opinion. But the other end of the spectrum is, hey, let's lock him in, affordable backup, and he's under contract. Maybe we could trade him down the road. Now, I don't think this is the offseason you would entertain a trade again, unless you get an offer that you're like, well, we do have a full roster we got to build. I think it would take at least a third for the Bears to start showing interest. And I don't know if there's a team out there that would give a third. He's only made 4 career starts, and they were all in his rookie year in 2023. Now, he's clearly improved since then. You can just see how he operates in the preseason and stuff. This guy knows where to go with the football. He knows what he's doing. He's an accurate player, runs the quick game well, better athlete than you would think. Doesn't have a great arm, but plays on time and is pretty accurate. I thought he was excellent in the preseason this year. And I know for a fact, it's not an opinion, it is a fact that the Bears love him. There's a reason they extended him. They wanted to lock him in for the next couple of years. So I don't think it's likely. I don't think they'd even get a premium offer for him. If they did, of course, you have to consider it. Maybe next year, with 1 year left in his deal, I could see them doing it, and here's why. Is Bagent going to sign another extension to stick around as a backup? Because I think at some point he's going to want to kind of dip his toes in the deep end and at least try to find a situation where he can at least compete to start. Barring Caleb Williams falling off a cliff, that's not going to happen in Chicago. And I think he probably is starting to realize that. So my guess, he's here another year, and the next offseason that becomes more real, especially if Caleb continues to ascend. All right, subscribe to the channel. We got Bears content all year long. News, rumors, free agency, draft. The combine is around the corner. Trade buzz is circulating. We'll be here for all of it, so lock us in and subscribe. Speaking of free agency, final rumor. Kam Curl, the Rams safety that basically ended the Bears season. Could he join the Bears? Two smoking Jays. People are talking, and the person that's talking about this is Matt Bowen of ESPN. Every year he does this top 50 free agents list and predicts or gives a best fit of where they could go. And he has Kam Curl going to the Chicago Bears, or is at least as a best fit for the Bears. He said both of Chicago's safeties, Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard, are free agents, opening up some spots in Dennis Allen's defense. Curl can play as an interchangeable safety and improve the Bears' run defense. And don't be surprised if the team brings back Byard to join him too. So he's kind of thrown out the idea, hey, re-sign Kevin Byard and bring in Kam Curl to pair with him. Curl had a great year for the Rams. He's a willing tackler. He's played both free and strong safety in his career. And to Bowen's point, that versatility, the interchangeableness, if Kevin Byard suffered an injury, he could slide over to free safety. Because if you bring back Byard and sign Curl, Curl's going to play more that box, strong safety role, but he can drop back and play coverage. Like, he's better in coverage than Brisker, for example. And that versatility next to an aging Kevin Byard, I think would work pretty darn well. Now, I looked at PFF's contract projection for him. They have very similar projections for both Kam Curl and Kevin Byard. 2 for 18 for Byard, 2 for 17.5 for Curl, 13 guaranteed for both players. So let's just say they're in the ballpark, right? Both guys would make, let's call it $7 to $9 million per year on a 2-year deal. Do the Bears want to hand out that contract for 2 safeties? They certainly could, but do they want to? Because if you're going to do that, you're allotting, $16 to $20 million of your salary cap to safeties. Now, you could, keep the cap, it's lower the first year. That's part of doing a multi-year deal. You could do that and figure out 2027 next year. I still question that. If that is the value for Curl, I still think you would just pick one, and you'd probably just pick Kevin Byard because that's who you know, sign him, and then pair him with the draft pick. I still think that formula is the more likely path. Now, Kam Curl on his last year signed for 2 years and $9 million. If we're talking about $4 or $5 million per year for a guy like Kam Curl, maybe even 6, if you could get Byard for 7 or 8 and Kam for 5 or 6, okay, that's a different story. I think every million matters when you're trying to put together this roster, because you still have to invest in that defensive line, man. You're still going to have to add a linebacker. So I don't know. I still think the sign one, draft one as your 2 starters is the most likely path. But if the money makes sense, I could see it being a possibility. And I do like the fit. I think Kam Curl in a Dennis Allen defense does work really, really well because of his versatility. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the market looks like for a guy like Kam Curl. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Please support the show. Hit that subscribe button. My name is Harrison Graham. We will see you guys soon.